What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports back again with another one. This is fight week. Wilder Fury 2, man, it's going down, man. I'll be having my analysis and prediction video coming up probably either tomorrow or Friday, man. Look out for that one. But we got some other heavyweight news going down. Andy Ruiz is slated to have a fight coming up sometime in the spring, either late spring or early summer. And well, from what I'm hearing, man, it's two opponents that they were looking at. Now, let's get to how it started out, man. First of all, Andy Ruiz and Dillian Whyte was linked up as far as a potential matchup, but couldn't get the dates together. You know, I think Dillian Whyte wanted to come back and fight in March. I think March 28th. And Andy Ruiz wanted to fight in June, so they couldn't come together on the date. Sky Sports and Matchroom Boxing had that date set up for March 28th for Dillian Whyte to have a fight in the UK, man. He's pretty much their UK pay-per-view superstar out there, man. They've been having his last several fights on Sky Sports pay-per-view, man. So he's basically their cash cow fighter in the UK behind, of course, Anthony Joshua. So, man, I can't believe this. Every time I do a video, people want to send me stuff on Facebook and this and that, man. It happens every goddamn time. Remember last video I did, man, I think somebody was, I think my phone was getting low or something, man. Whatever, man. I always got some kind of interruption, man. But let's get back to the task at hand. But so far as Dillian Whyte go, they couldn't come to agreement on the dates. You know, Eddie Hearn was looking for that fight to be taking place in the UK. You know, I think they tried to come out and clean it up after the fact, saying, "Oh, we offered him a fight with Dillian Whyte in the United States too." That's nothing but a bunch of BS. Dillian Whyte's going to fight in the UK. They had that already established. They was trying to drag Andy Ruiz to the UK, and Andy Ruiz would have went to the UK, but he just didn't want to go and fight in March. He wanted to fight in June, and I think the Zone actually was putting some pressure on Eddie Hearn to make the fight for Dillian Whyte and Andy Ruiz in the United States. So I think Eddie Hearn sent him an offer to fight in the United States, but for March, knowing he already knew that Andy Ruiz didn't want to fight in March. He thought that was too quick of a turnaround. He's looking for a new trainer. He's trying to get himself back in good shape because, you know, he came into the Anthony Joshua rematch in horrible shape. So they knew. So he had already told that to him. So to satisfy the Zone and to say that, oh yeah, we sent Andy Ruiz an offer to fight Dillian Whyte in the United States, but yeah, for March, but not for June. And that's what's the hold up in that fight, and the fight's not going to get done. So Andy Ruiz is looking for another opponent. So the one thing that Andy Ruiz did get out of that negotiation with Dillian Whyte, it was Eddie Hearn offered him a significant purse to fight Dillian Whyte. And you look at what Andy Ruiz made his last two fights, Anthony Joshua, the first fight in the rematch, he made a lot of money for those fights, a lot of money. You know, I've heard that he made like maybe $6-7 million for the first fight, and he doubled that in the rematch. You know, so he made a lot, at least double that in the rematch, probably a little bit more than double that in the rematch. So he's in a different bracket as far as fight person. So PBC knows this, and they know for his next fight, if he to have like they say, okay, we're gonna give you a tune-up fight. You know, you're gonna fight a guy to kind of get you a win up under your belt. If you put him in that type of opponent against like a Christine Hammer or somebody like that, a lower level fighter like that, the fights, he's not going to be able to get that type of purse fight in those type of fighters. So the only way the PBC can kind of match what the Zone was offering him to fight Dillian Whyte is to put him on pay-per-view. But you need a worthy opponent. Obviously, Deontay Wilder is the #1 draw in the PBC on pay-per-view, him and Errol Spence. And Deontay Wilder's got a fight coming up with Fury this Saturday, and then possibly a trilogy coming up in June. You know, if the loser agrees to exercise the rematch clause. So the second biggest draw in the heavyweight division and on the PBC side is who? Ruiz, King Kong Ortiz. Being on a successful pay-per-view with Deontay Wilder. That pay-per-view did 275,000 pay-per-view buys. So what the PBC is looking to guarantee to try to match the purse that Andy Ruiz would have got fighting Dillian Whyte on the Zone is they've got to put that fight on pay-per-view. But they need a quality opponent. So that's where Ruiz King Kong Ortiz comes in. He's been on a successful pay-per-view. He's known here in the United States because of 2 fights with Deontay Wilder. So they're looking to possibly put that fight on Fox pay-per-view. So they can give Andy Ruiz a minimum maybe $2-3 million, and then he can get the rest of the money on the back end of the pay-per-view, which can probably get him up somewhere around 10, 11, 12 million, somewhat close to what he would have got fighting Dillian White and what he made in the Anthony Joshua rematch, somewhere in that vicinity of what he would have made, so he could be happy. So that's what I'm hearing, man. The PBC is looking to put Andy Ruiz versus King Kong Ortiz. That's the fight. That fight has been talked about to be on Fox pay-per-view. Now, Dominique Brazil was another opponent that was being mentioned to fight Andy Ruiz, but obviously they're not gonna. It'd be a hard sell for Andy Ruiz to fight Dominique Brazil coming off his last performance. Brazil and Andy Ruiz, but Brazil in particular, when he got knocked out in devastating fashion by Deontay Wilder in the first round. Knockout. That knockout went viral on the internet. It was a vicious knockout, and that fight there would be hard to sell on pay-per-view. Now, if they put that fight on Fox or Showtime, yeah, it could be a Fox fight or a Showtime fight. But if you put that fight on Fox or Showtime, you're looking at a limited budget that you wouldn't have to have on a pay-per-view fight, which you can make that money on the back end of the pay-per-view sales. You're not able to do that on Fox or Showtime. They have a set rate. They have a set, pretty much a set. It's like a pot of money. I ain't saying a set rate for each fight, but Fox got a set amount of money they're gonna show for their fight. They say, for example, like say Harrison Charlo 2, the rematch. That fight was on Fox. Okay, say Fox had a set value, set revenue for pretty much all their fights that's shown on Fox, $3 million. Okay, $3 million. They give say they give $3 million. They give Charlo 1.75 or something like that, close to $2 million. And then they give 1.7. I ain't gonna say 1.75. They give Charlo. Let's say get Charlo 1.75, okay, and they give Harrison 1.25. That's money. That's $3 million. That's the budget they got for the fight. That's their budget. And that's the same thing with Andy Ruiz and a Luis Ortiz fight. You have $3 million in the pot. Obviously, Andy Ruiz say, man, I made double that in the first fight with Joshua. I'm not going back to that rate. I'm Andy Ruiz, man. I'm well known. Look at my internet followers. Look at my Twitter followers. I got millions upon millions of Twitter followers. I'm a well known quantity. I'm a well known commodity in boxing. Same thing with Luis Ortiz. He made $7 million Deontay Wilder rematch. He not gonna take that fight. Say they give Andy Ruiz 2 and give Luis Ortiz 1. Luis Ortiz gonna say, what? I made 7 times that in my last fight with Wilder. I'm not going back to that rate. So you see what I'm saying? They can't put that fight on Fox. They can't put that fight on Showtime with the limited budget both networks have. So they got to put the fight on pay-per-view. Guaranteed both fighters maybe $2 million a piece or $2.5 million a piece, somewhere in there, and then they make their money on the back end, the ticket sales, T-shirt sales. They might get some of the concession money. That's how they get their money. Well, Luis Ortiz can get close to what he made in the Wilder rematch, and Andy Ruiz can get close to what Eddie Hearn, DAZN offered, and both fighters can be happy. So that's what I'm hearing, man. I'm hearing Andy with Dominique Brazil fighting Andy Ruiz. They couldn't possibly put that fight on pay-per-view based on Dominique Brazil's last performance. Andy Ruiz didn't put on a great performance against Joshua either. Came in out of shape and wasn't properly prepared for the rematch. But he didn't get knocked out. He didn't get beat bad. He just got beat on a points decision. So if he gets himself back in shape, which he's said he plans to do. One thing I like about Andy Ruiz, he hasn't been on his Twitter in about a month. He hasn't posted anything on his Twitter. So I've heard that he's getting himself in good shape, getting himself back into, he's never gonna be a Adonis type of fighter. But he's trying to look to get himself back in the shape he was in the first Anthony Joshua fight. So if he can get himself back in that shape with his fast hands, going against Luis Ortiz's technical skills that's at a high level, that makes for a fascinating fight. So that's what I'm hearing, man. The PBC is looking to match up Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz on pay-per-view. I'm hearing Fox pay-per-view is what they're talking about, putting that fight on Fox pay-per-view. Outside chance Showtime pay-per-view maybe gets involved in it too. They might make a bid on it too, but I'm hearing that Fox pay-per-view is the front runner for Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz. So if that fight is made, don't expect that fight to be on Fox or Showtime. Expect that fight to be on pay-per-view. And like I said, Fox pay-per-view is the what I'm hearing is the front runner to land that fight. But don't count out Showtime pay-per-view as possible another outlet for that fight. So that's what I'm hearing, man. Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz. And whoever wins that fight will set themselves up for another title shot. So that'll be very, very interesting. It'll be good, man. Like I said, if Andy Ruiz come in shape with his fast hands, he can give Luis Ortiz problem. But the problem is Luis Ortiz has great timing. And what beats speed is timing. Timing beats speed every time. So if he can catch Andy Ruiz coming in with those combinations and laying that straight right hand that he likes to land, and laying that straight left hand that he likes to do, because he's a southpaw. He's a southpaw, laying that straight left, and use the jab to kind of make Andy Ruiz reset, he could cause all kind of problems for Andy Ruiz, man. I would be surprised. And when I first heard this, I was like, nah, no way Andy Ruiz takes this fight, man. You're going to take this fight after a loss to Anthony Joshua? You need a win up under your belt. But looking at what he's made his last 2 fights, he don't want to take a step backward as far as purses. He wants to be making that same type of money he made in the last 2 fights. That's what people don't realize. That's what got made. That's one of the reasons why Andre Ward retired. After he beat Kovalev, he made like $6-7 million on that second fight, and he made some good money on the first fight with Kovalev. He didn't want to go back to fighting Dimitri Bivol for $1 or $2 million, or fighting guys of that caliber for $1 or $2 million. He didn't want to take a step back. As he started making that type of money, he wants to continue to make either the same or greater money. He don't want to take a step backwards, and that's the same thing with Andy Ruiz, and that's the same thing with Luis Ortiz, man. Once you start paying those guys a certain money, unless they just stake up the joint when they ain't on that stage and put up a hard performance, they gonna want that even in losing. They gonna want that close to that type of money in their future fights, and that's the situation with Andy Ruiz and Luis Ortiz. A lot of people say, well, shit, Andy Ruiz stuck up the joint in the rematch, so why should he command the same payday? Well, Eddie Hearn offered him a lot of money to fight Dylan White on his own. So if he fights some guy like Christian Hammer on Fox and Showtime, he's not going to be able to get that type of money. So the PBC's got to try to match that, and the only way they can match that is to put the fight between him and Luis Ortiz, like I said, who's a well-known commodity. After doing good numbers with Deontay Wilder in the rematch on Fox pay-per-view, that's the best fight available to get the purse that Andy Ruiz would want. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires. But that's what I'm hearing, man. Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz. If it's made, and it's a chance it's getting made, they're still talking about it. And I think it's pretty much there's still discussions on the fight before. But Andy Ruiz did say that he already know who he's gonna fight. He said that about a week ago, well, a little less than a week ago. That he says I think his manager already informed him who he's gonna fight. So I think they're just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, trying to finalize the last little big things, of the fights to be agreed upon, and then they'll be announcing some in the coming days or coming weeks. So that's what I'm hearing, man. So, and I think that's the opponent that they're being lined up with, man. Now, as far as where that fight will be held, I would expect that fight to be held on the West Coast. Maybe Los Angeles Staples Center, or maybe put that fight in Las Vegas. Put that fight at the MGM Grand, maybe in Las Vegas. One of those two places I suspect will probably host that fight, man. That'll be a big fight, man. Luis Ortiz has already stated that he's got a lot of love when he's had fights over there in Los Angeles. I think he fought on the Mikey Garcia, Robert Easter Jr. undercard. He had a highlight reel knockout, and he said during that fight week he got a lot of love for the LA fans, so he liked to go over there and fight again. He fought Deontay Wilder rematch in Los Angeles. So I would suspect that the Los Angeles Staples Center, Los Angeles, California, would be one of the venues they'll be looking at stage that fight at. And then you can always look at Las Vegas MGM Grand as a potential venue for that fight too. So that's what I'm hearing, man. But leave your comments in the comment section if you think that's a good fight, Luis Ortiz and Andy Ruiz. And pick a winner. Who you think gonna win that fight? I'm not gonna break the fight down and predict a winner until the fight actually get agreed upon and the fight is made official. But give me your comments on who you think will win the fight. Do you think it's a good fight? And where you think the fight should take place if it's made? Do you think L.A. Staples Center is a good spot? You know, that's basically where Andy Ruiz is from, that area. And like I said, Luis Ortiz is getting a lot of love, fighting in L.A. twice, the last couple of times fighting there. Or you think that maybe they should move that fight somewhere else? Maybe put it on the East Coast, Barclays, even though, you know, Luis Ortiz being from Florida doesn't really have a fan base in Florida for them to maybe stage that fight in Florida. But maybe the Barclays, you know, there's always lively in the Barclays when they have a big fight. So just leave your comments in the comment section. You think this is a good fight, man? Who you think will win? And what venue you think they should stage this fight in? This is JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. I holla.